Hello all you freaks out there on the internet, it is I, the Athletic Brony, FritzRolle732, and welcome to another episode of FritzRolle732's MLP Grimdark Fanfic reviews. Now in this episode, we are looking at Rarity's new patterns. Now unlike most fics that I ever encountered, this one I've actually encountered quite differently, to be honest. How I encountered this fic, I actually watched the SFM animation that was directly based off of the actual story, and I gotta say, the animation was absolutely great, and not only that, the horror scale was absolutely high, as well as the story itself. And in case you guys are wondering how high that is, well, we're about to find out. So let's get down to Rarity's new patterns. The story begins at our primary and only setting throughout this entire story, and that is Rarity's boutique in Ponyville. And Rarity is just about done finishing a design for her last client until we saw Sweetie Belle finish with her beautiful artwork of a picture of the two of them together. Aww, that is so nice and adorable. After Sweetie Belle shows her her beautiful masterpiece, we all of a sudden get a knock at the door, and we see a famous fashion designer that we don't know about because she wasn't canon in the show. But Rarity knows her, and as we can tell, it's a really big deal for her. And so she is requested by this client that she gets 6 dresses done in 3 days. So with that being said, she gets to work. After a few moments of trying to find some fabric and coming up with ideas, she all of a sudden falls asleep, and so begins the next day with no work in progress whatsoever. So now she has to do 6 dresses in now 2 days. Oh boy. I wonder what Rarity is feeling right now after realizing that she done fucked up after the first day. I can tell you, it ain't a good sign. But luckily she has good friends there by her side, and speaking of, Rainbow Dash walks into the boutique and she asks her if she could actually do a dress for her at a Wonderbolt show, but sadly she is just so busy that she doesn't have time to. So Rainbow Dash accepts it and is willing to help her out. She begins to help her out by finding some fabric, but as that goes on, all of a sudden Rarity had a dark thought in her mind. And so she starts staring over Rainbow. And not just staring at Rainbow, but staring at her fur and just examining it. And us, the audience, is like, what the heck is she doing? And so as soon as Rarity touches Rainbow, strangely, she all of a sudden, ah! What are you doing? That's what we want to know, Rainbow. What are you doing? And so Rarity's like, oh, sorry, dear. I'm just checking out your fur? And then, huh? Our thoughts exactly, Rainbow, huh? It's all starting to get a little bit weird right now, and I do not know what Rarity is thinking, but all I know is something is not going to be right, and something tells me it's not going to be good for Rainbow. But going forward, so then Rarity asked Rainbow if she could stop by later to help her out some more. And so being the good friend that Rainbow is, she leaves. And so later on, she comes back, and sure enough, she continues helping Rarity to find some more fabric and stuff. But before she even came in, Rarity was like cradling for some reason, because some dark thoughts coming into her head. Like, she was really acting weird and all that. She even attacks Rainbow vocally for being late. And Rainbow's like, whoa, 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 I tried my best to be here as soon as I could. Calm down, Rarity. And then so she's like, oh, sorry, darling. And so, as Rainbow is picking out fabric and searching for fabric, Rarity goes down to the other corner of her house, and she starts finding a kitchen knife on the floor. As this is going on, Rainbow Dash isn't paying attention, and so she starts to ask questions to Rarity, but then Rarity doesn't respond or anything. So, before she could even act up and ask again, and is like, Rarity? All of a sudden, with a split second, Rarity stabs Rainbow blindsidedly, and this causes Rainbow to go unconscious. A few moments go by. Rainbow Dash is trapped and is nothing but chained up, like she is in Cupcakes. Oh boy, we are about to see a Cupcakes version of Rarity like we've never seen before. And like I said before, this ain't gonna end well for Rainbow. And so all of a sudden, Rainbow Dash is just begging for Rarity and just telling her to snap out of it, like, what is going on? What is happening? Just please let me go. And Rarity just stabs her a couple times, and it is just, ugh. It is painful, and just when you thought it couldn't get any worse and even more terrifying, holy crap, you're not going to believe what the final blow was. She uses her magic to put the knife down with full force to cut Rainbow Dash's head off. Oh my god. You heard me right, you guys. Rainbow Dash ended up getting decapitated by Rarity. Holy crap. And so after the deed was done, and she now has her first ever fabric to design her first ever dress out of 6, all of a sudden Twilight comes into the house. And so she starts to ask Rarity if she has seen Rainbow Dash lately, and she's like, oh, I haven't seen her. But then all of a sudden she starts to notice something in the corner of the room. She sees Rainbow Dash's bones and carcass. And so she's like, what is going on? And then all of a sudden Rarity locks the door and uses her magic to trap Twilight and hold her up in the air and make her vulnerable. She cannot move. Twilight cannot move a muscle. All she could do is just scream and yell for help. And strange thing is, this story takes place when she was in Alicorn. So I gotta say, it was really iffy, because how is Twilight being overpowered by Rarity? She doesn't even have that powerful of magic and stuff, but I don't know. But anyways, so all of a sudden, she uses her weapon of choice, the kitchen knife, and she starts Xing out Twilight before delivering the final blow, which was a big stab to the neck. And so another few moments go by. Our next guests to be on this kill count are none other than Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie. They start walking in, and so Rarity actually ties Pinkie up. And so she's like, oh, is this like a game of capture and stuff? Like, I'm the victim and you are the killer, and so I'm supposed to scream and all that. And so she starts playfully screaming, but then unbeknownst to her, Rarity now has a freaking axe. You heard me right, you guys. She has an axe. And so all of a sudden she starts wielding the first chop at Pinkie, which her screams of playfulness now turn to screams of reality. Like, she's really screaming and crying and stuff, like, oh god, that hurts. And then Fluttershy is just looking over there, just closed her mouth, like shocked, like, oh no. And she's just frozen in fear. She couldn't bear to escape now. And so she's just watching her poor dear friend Pinkie get wielded over and over until the final blow. And so after Fluttershy sees the deed being done, she suddenly recuperates. She tries to escape. She tries to bolt out, but sadly, Rarity uses her magic to shut the door, lock it, and then Fluttershy is vulnerable. She is trapped. Rarity uses her magic to grab her by the hooves, and all of a sudden, she picks her up with her magic, and all of a sudden, we get the most insane death that I've ever seen, and probably the most realistic one to ever happen in the world of Equestria. What Rarity does to Fluttershy is she uses her magic to twist her head and snap her neck. Oh my gosh! Like, when I saw the SFM animation of this story, you guys, and when I saw that part, I was like, holy crap. And so now she has 4 outfits ready. And so the next day comes, and now Rarity has one and only one day left until the big deadline. And sure enough, Sweetie Belle comes in. But hey, don't get ahead of me. Don't get ahead of me. Listen. So Sweetie Belle comes in, and Rarity requests Sweetie Belle to go get Applejack and help her out with the dresses and stuff. And then Sweetie Belle's like, are you sure, sis? Because Applejack really isn't that into dresses. And she's like, yes, I know, but I just really need your help. And sure enough, you can tell Rarity is just broken to the brim. Her hair is all messed up like mine, as you can see. And she is just completely just out of it. Like, you can tell that something is mentally wrong, and she's just absolutely broken. Like, oh my god. Like, the Rarity that we know and love isn't that Rarity. And so later on, Applejack then arrives, and sure enough, she tells Rarity, hey Rarity, I heard that you need help. I just want to tell you that I'm not really the one for dresses. And sure enough, she cradles. Hair messed up, and she's just gone. She's just out of it, and she's just evilly cackling like, yeah, like all that. And so all of a sudden, Applejack just notices everything of what's happening and stuff, and she realizes she's in a bad position. And so before she can try to make an escape, Rarity just shuts the door locked and then grabs Applejack again with the magic and everything, and she starts stabbing her and causing her not to walk and stuff. And she's just like trying to escape, but Rarity's just too strong with her magic. And then all of a sudden, Rarity starts wielding the axe on Applejack's back, causing her to bleed out and barely breathe and stuff. And before she could hit the final blow, all of a sudden Sweetie Belle comes in at the wrong time, and she starts to witness what is about to happen. She now realizes what has been happening these past couple days with her sister. And so Applejack, with her last aching breath, warns Sweetie Belle and tells her to run, Sweetie Belle. Run! And then all of a sudden, the final blow comes. Rarity wields that axe across Applejack's neck, killing her instantly. And then a big scream from Sweetie Belle. And so Rarity just evilly cackles because now she is officially done and she is all the outfits, or so we think. Again, don't get ahead of me, don't get ahead of me. And so Sweetie Belle could do nothing but just cry and just be like, why, Rarity? Like, this, I cannot believe that you did something like this. But then all of a sudden, Rarity shouts and is like, wait! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I only have 5! What am I gonna do for my 6? And then she's like, oh, Sweetie Belle. And then she's like, no, I won't let you. I'm gonna get the guards. And sure enough, Rarity shuts the door, locks it, and grabs Sweetie Belle with her magic and starts pinning her against the wall. And so Sweetie Belle just begs her and just tries to make her snap out of it and is like, please, please, Rarity, just don't do it, please. I love you. When she says that, it freaking worked. It worked, you guys. It actually worked. She actually got Rarity to snap out of it, and she was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And then she's like, it's okay, sis. I'm right here. I'm right here. But then, just when you thought it was going to be all over and it's going to be somewhat of a bittersweet ending, it turns out it doesn't. It doesn't go bittersweet. Instead, she is like, wait, why do I need to do that? When I could have myself. Yeah, you heard me right, you guys, and she wasn't kidding. I mean, seriously, if that's not Little Miss Rarity enough, I don't know what is. So she starts to wield the axe and stab herself, and she ends up killing herself. And so Sweetie Belle is like, oh no, Rarity, just why? No. And so Rarity was just like, I just wanted to shine. And then, and so ends Rarity's new patterns. Oh my god. So, here are my final thoughts on this story, you guys. As I mentioned before, heck with the animation, which, again, I give special thanks for EdTV Plus because I seriously love it when people out there like make animated projects that were based off of these stories and stuff, because seriously, we rarely get any of these, and I'm so glad that there was an animation that was based off this story, because not only would I be able to be interested in it and talk about it in my review, but also I would have never had the best experience, because seriously, if you watch the animation, the horror skill is higher than if you were to like watch a dramatic reading or even read the story. Like, as you're reading, you would be like, oh my gosh, and all that, like, but you wouldn't actually have the shock factor. Like, the shock factor would have been there, so I'm glad there was an animation, but heck with that. The story as a horror story was absolutely great. Like, we got some multiple kills. It was a story that had a series of events, and that's what a story is, you guys. It's the tale that talks about a series of events. Anything to do with a single event like cupcakes or butterflies, and it's just a one death wonder, then I would prefer to call those tales than stories. But this one was actually a story. It had a series of events, we had multiple characters, and even had multiple kills, which that was awesome. And I just flat out loved it as a horror story. However, as a story in general, it was rather straight to the point and predictable, like cupcakes and stuff, like rather cliche. And not only that, another thing that I didn't like about Rarity's new patterns was just the ending. Oh my gosh. Like, seriously, the ending, it's got to be one of the most dumbest and stupidest endings that I've ever seen in any MLP Grimdark fanfic ever. Because the ending is, Rarity ends up killing herself to be the final design. I mean, really? After all of that hard work that you tried to do, and after that desperate times to desperate measures move, you all of a sudden decide to kill yourself to be the 6th design, which obviously that would have been completely impossible to do. Oh my gosh, you are so stupid. Because the thing is, not only did you waste the time to try to kill your friends, you pretty much wasted the whole entire story as well, because it felt like all this was just a waste of time just to see these kills and stuff. So I was rather disappointed. But on the bright side, it doesn't disturb the fact that we still got to see a freaking great antagonist psycho version of Rarity. Like, seriously, if you ever think about Rarity going the darkest of ways whenever she's in this position, Yeah, you can definitely see that, and I absolutely love that. Just like Cupcake's Pinkie Pie, Rarity's character development in the story as the antagonist was just absolutely great, and I loved it. But overall, if I had to give a rating on this story, I would say a 2.5 out of 5. It was okay. I mean, to recap, on the positive side, when it comes to the terms of horror, we got a great story and some great character development with the main antagonist to the story. Like, that was really cool. But at the same time, you get a disappointing ending and you feel like, what's the point? Like, all this is just pretty much of a waste. So yeah, overall it was okay. Not great, not terrible, just down the middle, okay. And as a horror story, I highly recommend it, you guys. I highly recommend it. And as I said before, if you guys want to get a great reaction out of it, as well as the shock factor, I recommend you check out the animation. It is absolutely great. But if you're too afraid to watch it alone, I recommend you watch Alex Side's reaction to the animation. That way you don't have to feel the suffering and the pain while watching it all by yourself. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed my review to Rarity's New Patterns. Be sure to give this review a thumbs up, and if you have read the story yourself, click down your thoughts in the comments below. With that being said, be sure to subscribe and check out the rest of my MLP Grimdark Fanfic review series, including my latest video with my review of the legendary Rainbow Factory. And also be sure to click on the bell as well. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at FritzRolle732. Now, in this episode, I showed you guys my fancy side, as you can see for yourselves, and we talked about Rarity's New Patterns, but in the next episode it will be our summer scribble special. And truth be told, this story has some great writing, but at the same time it has a really confusing plot. And what I mean by that is it's really hard to tell what character dies and whatever. I don't know. Hopefully I'll be able to figure out and understand everything when I do the episodes. But in the meantime, I give you guys a bell for a good show. And that's a wrap. See ya!
Pointless to analyze.